The movie itself is a great example on how each prisoner is living his life behind bars and how not everyone is guilty. It makes you think for a lot of things affecting life, and at the same time you get to experience a lot of different perspective, and one of the most important is how the prison staff have their hands even dirtier than the prisoners themselves. Makes you think how you're living your own life, and it reminds you to be thankful for the freedom and the opportunity to keep up with time and inventions. I can happily say that I can watch this movie at least once a week and it won't get boring at any point. It opens your eyes, so you can see the people around you that we're used to call friends, and it reminds you about the existing hope. It also gives you a motivation to not give up and keep going. As they say in the movie, either get busy living or get busy dying. P.S. If you're reading this review, just open the platform that you want to watch it on and watch it. I can assure you, you won't regret it. For a long time I wondered what was really going on. 9.3 out of 10 possible points on the world's largest film database IMDB, even before classics like The Godfather Part 1 and 2 and leader of some best lists. Yet it's just about a convicted banker who befriends Morgan Freeman and gets used to his life as a prisoner in Shawshank Men's prison. But there's a lot more to this film than the blue-eyed setting up of modern movie cliches. For the crux of the Shawshank Redemption already lies in its ensemble. Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman and as the leading men in their absolute prime as actors. Secondary characters that integrate ideally into the scenarios of the protagonists, and all have essential functions as their companions. Villains that seem generic from today's point of view, but for those times were unparalleled in cruelty. All of these ingeniously written roles have a hand in the plot, none of them feeling superfluous at any point. Of course, the film's trump card is the chemistry between Robbins' character Andy and Freeman's Red. After an initial distance, the two grow closer and closer as the film progresses, and within the nearly 30 years over which the plot takes place, they become almost inseparable. A down-to-earth and simple male friendship, where both of them share a terrible fate. How the two manage to carry each other through the cold harshness of prison life is gripping to follow. The individual scenes mainly belong to Robbins' Andy. This one is characterized by Red's over voice, and while this movie tool works in very few cases, it's a bullseye here. It's not for nothing that Freeman's voice is considered iconic to this day. You have from the start that a man is telling his friend's story. Freeman's screen time suffers a bit as a result, but it doesn't take anything away from what is arguably the best performance of his career. Robbins delivers the much quieter and subtler performance, while Freeman excels in empathetic and even comedic monologues and dialogue at times. The rest of the cast adds to an all-around perfect ensemble performance. Foremost among them is Bob Gunton as the corrupt Warden Norton, under whose hypocritical posturing as a sensible Christian lurks a malicious layer that lends the film some necessary devastation. Whether The Shawshank Redemption is really the best film of all time is debatable. However, one thing can't be denied: from an objective point of view, it is without major weaknesses. If anything, the slightly pathetic and conventional ending actually fits seamlessly with the previous plot. In this respect, this is perhaps a point of criticism, but merely one without much significance. Otherwise, it's a film that still did a lot to me at 22 years old, even 27 years later. The sensations of pain, shock and happiness regularly catch up with you. Despite its epic running length and slow build, the film is always entertaining and engaging, and it's also beautifully directed and photographed. Hard to. For the life of me, I can't understand all the gushing about this cornball, sentimental and phony movie. There are certainly some strong performances, but they're outweighed by some of the two-dimensional portrayals, weak writing, that opera sequence, oh, please, and most of all a completely garbage ending, I won't give it away, that stomps on what little credibility the movie has. I guess you really can't go broke underestimating people's intelligence. I simply fail to understand how this film is so popular. It's quite simply beyond me. The only way I can explain it is that all the fans of King's short story found it very true to the spirit of the book, and voted 10 for that. I really could not find anything worth my time in this film, and apart from a very good monologue from Freeman near the end, one or two good lines of dialogue and the acting, there's really nothing in the whole film worth watching it for. It's about hope. And the director won't let us forget it, so it's repeated until the audience mumbles it in our sleep. It's like this short, one-note story was written, and the author just didn't want to end it. So he kept writing. And writing. Until someone had the sense to break down the door and wrestle the pen from him, yelling, "For the love of all that is holy, stop writing." And I thank that faceless man for doing that, because it is undoubtedly the only reason the film was 142 minutes long and not 284, or, dare I say it, 568. The film simply drones on, scene after scene, containing nothing remotely interesting but with excellent acting, mind you. There's nothing good about this film except for the acting. Just about all of it is great. I can't really think of anything else to say. I guess my dislike for the film stems from my hatred of King's writing. I suppose it is possible for someone who is neutral on his works to enjoy this film. I recommend this to fans of Stephen King, the actors, and possibly Frank Darabont. If you're not a fan of any of these people, I doubt you'd find this enjoyable. 5/10. Why do I want to write the 234th comment on the Shawshank Redemption? I am not sure. Almost everything that could be possibly said about it has been said. But like so many other people who wrote comments, I was and am profoundly moved by this simple and eloquent depiction of hope and friendship and redemption. The only other movie I have ever seen that affects me as strongly is To Kill a Mockingbird. Both movies leave me feeling cleaner for having watched them. I didn't intend to see this movie at all. I do not like prison movies and I don't normally watch them. I work at a branch library, and one day as I was checking The Shawshank Redemption out to one of our older patrons, she said to me, "Whenever I feel down or depressed, I check out this movie and watch it, and it always makes me feel better." At the time, I thought that was very strange. One day there was nothing on TV except things I absolutely would not watch under any circumstance, or things that I had seen too many times already. I remembered what she said, so I watched it. I have watched it many times since then, and it gets better with every showing. No action, no special effects, just men in prison uniforms talking to each other. The Shawshank Redemption and To Kill a Mockingbird are the best movies I have ever seen. I do not judge it by its technical merits, I don't really care about that. I have read that Citizen Kane or The Godfather or this or that movie is the best movie ever made. They may have the best technique or be the most influential motion pictures ever made, but not the best. The best movies are ones that touch the soul. It takes a movie like The Shawshank Redemption to touch the soul. The Shawshank Redemption is written and directed by Frank Darabont. It is an adaptation of the Stephen King novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. Starring Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, the film portrays the story of Andy Dufresne, Robbins, a banker who is sentenced to 2 life sentences at Shawshank State Prison for apparently murdering his wife and her lover. Andy finds it tough going but finds solace in the friendship he forms with fellow inmate Ellis "Red" Redding, Freeman. While things start to pick up when the warden finds Andy a prison job more befitting his talents as a banker. However, the arrival of another inmate is going to vastly change things for all of them. There was no fanfare or bunting put out for the release of the film back in '94, with a title that didn't give much inkling to anyone about what it was about, and with Columbia Pictures unsure how to market it. Shawshank Redemption barely registered at the box office. However, come Academy Award time, the film received several nominations, and although it won none, it stirred up interest in the film for its home entertainment release. The rest, as they say, is history. For the film finally found an audience that saw the film propelled to almost mythical proportions as an endearing modern-day classic. Something that has delighted its fans, whilst simultaneously baffling its detractors. One thing is for sure, though, is that whichever side of the Shawshank fence you sit on, the film continues to gather new fans and simply will never go away or lose that mythical status. It's possibly the simplicity of it all that sends some haters of the film into cinematic spasms. The implausible plot and an apparent sentimental edge that makes a nonsense of prison life are but 2 chief complaints from those that dislike the film with a passion. Yet when characters are this richly drawn, and so movingly performed, it strikes me as churlish to do down a human drama that's dealing in hope, friendship and faith. The sentimental aspect is indeed there, but that acts as a counterpoint to the suffering, degradation and shattering of the soul involving our protagonist. Cozy prison life, you say? No chance. The need for human connection is never more needed than during incarceration, surely? And given the quite terrific performances of Robbins, Never Better, and Freeman, sublimely making it easy, it's the easiest thing in the world to warm to Andy and Red. Those in support aren't faring too bad either. Bob Gunton is coiled spring smarm as Warden Norden, James Whitmore is heart-achingly great as the Birdman of Shawshank, Clancy Brown is menacing as antagonist Captain Byron Hadley, William Sadler amusing as Haywood, and Mark Rolston is impressively vile as Boggs Diamond. Then there's Roger Deakins' lush cinematography as the camera gracefully glides in and out of the prison, offering almost ethereal hope to our characters. Yes, they are ours. The music pings in conjunction with the emotional flow of the movie too. Thomas Newman's score is mostly piano-based, dovetailing neatly with Andy's state of mind, while the excellently selected soundtrack ranges from the likes of Hank Williams to the gorgeous La Nozze di Figaro by Mozart. If you love Shawshank, then it's a love that lasts a lifetime. Every viewing brings the same array of emotions: anger, revilement, happiness, sadness, inspiration, and a warmth that can reduce the most hardened into misty-eyed wonderment. Above all else, though, Shawshank offers hope, not just for characters in a movie, but for a better life and a better world for all of us. 10/10. I was a little surprised at first to see this film ranked number 1 out of all possible candidates in the IMDB user ratings. When I thought about it, though, it made more sense. This is a Rocky-type feel-good movie that doesn't really make you think and reinforces what we would all like to believe about human nature. Don't get me wrong, it's a fine film. I gave it a solid 7 out of 10, it's just not, in my view, up there with _Casablanca _ and _The Graduate _. I guess the main problem I have with _Shawshank _ is the nature of the script and characters. Think about it. Is there a single person in the film who isn't a one-dimensional cardboard cutout with very simple motivations, or a Hollywood cliché or stereotype? We have, in no particular order, a corrupt, bigoted prison warden, who is a religious hypocrite for good measure, a brutal prison guard, a man who is wrongly accused of murder, an old convict who knows all the ropes and can't live on the outside, and a convict who is murdered by the brutal guards. Now, where have we seen this stuff before? Only in a few dozen movies made from the 20s to the 90s. There's really nothing new here. Probably this comes from the fact that the story is from Stephen King, who doesn't really do well with complex characters, a problem I noted as far back as _Carrie _. If you want to see a good prison picture, try _Cool Hand Luke _, from which this movie borrows considerably. If you want an escape picture, see either _The Great Escape _ or _Papillon _, both with Steve McQueen. Or if, by some chance, you want a crime and punishment movie that really makes you think, go with the late great Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange _. I couldn't stop thinking about the warden. Doesn't he have a family? How did they feel? What are they going to do now? I realize the story is inside the prison, but I wish the movie had made better use of its characters than simply as simple-minded symbols of evil or virtue. I'm not Mr. Cranky. I did enjoy the movie, but I enjoyed it the same way I do an Italian dinner at the Olive Garden, a well-constructed genre product with nothing special to commend it.